Hi guys, I'm Pam and welcome back to my channel. Um, if you're returning, welcome back and thank you so much for coming back. If you are new, I'm so glad you found us on the YouTube, and please, I hope you feel free to stay and chit chat with us for a little while and join in while we do our little thing today. Um, So I think what we're going to do today, I was just going to do a whip and chat, but I think I want to do something a little bit different. I think instead of like a normal kind of a whip and chat, I'm going to have a story time. Um, and today we're going to do a true crime story time. I did try to keep a little bit of Christmas theme because, nothing says Merry Christmas like some murder and mayhem. Um, So, that being said, this is my trigger warning to you. This is an actual, real, true crime case that I'm going to be talking about today. It does mention family violence, which includes against adults and children. I won't get too graphic, but I do believe that their story needs to be told. If these topics are sensitive to you, then perhaps this isn't the video for you. And if that's true, then that's perfectly okay. No worries, we can just catch up on the next one. Um, but if you do like true crime and diamond painting together, which I do, please feel free, pull up a chair, get out your little project that you're working on, maybe whip along with me, grab a snack, grab something to drink, and just sit and have a little bit of time with me today. Um, If not, come back on the next one and we're just going to have a regular whip and chat with the next one. My next planned video is actually going to be the start of my Josephine Wall canvas that I'm going to be working on. It is, I've got it partially kitted up already. It's pretty big to kit up, so I didn't film the kit up, but my plan is to show how I kitted it up, how I prepared the canvas to start working on it, and then just start working and just do like a regular whip and chat with it and let people kind of follow along with it. So that's the next planned video. So yeah, that'll be exciting. Today, what I'm going to be using is, we are still working on this Diamond Art Club Sugar Skull Girl. I have my little section open here that we're going to be working here. We're still down at the bottom. This is like the bottom part of her dress right here. We've already gotten some of these sunflowers done over here, and you can see the corner of her dress down here. There's a lot of confetti areas in here, but it's going to be so beautiful. The colors are amazing. The this part here is just all like the bottom part of her dress. So that's where we'll be working today. I have putty in my multi-placer part of my pan, which is, this is the putty that I get from Pure Bliss Wax Company. This is the lavender and chamomile. It smells so good. This putty is great. I love it. And then I just have regular wax in my single placing part of my pen, and in my little pen that I use for ABs. So I just have wax in those. Okay, so I guess we can get started. I kind of already like opened it up and kind of stuck a few drills in there just to make sure I was good to go, and I'm good to go. So today's story really is just highlighting this tragic story of a family annihilator. If you know what a family annihilator is, these are the people that you hear about that end up killing their whole families for whatever reason they choose or whatever reason they have. And it's really sad because this particular case that I'm going to talk about really affected this community for years, for years. It affected them, and it was really, really quite tragic. So this is the story of the Lawson family murders. So let's go back. Let's go back to 1929. So what's going on in 1929? Biggest thing, economy. The economy was about to tank at any moment. The Great Depression came in 1929. It started off as a recession, just like a normal, that sounds bad, but a normal recession here in the States. And then when the stock market crashed, that just kicked the Great Depression up into high gear. And it just became a worldwide problem at that point. And families were struggling. It was hard. It was hard at that time anyway, but then it was really, really hard. So, things, I guess, became that normal. Oh, here, I don't want to go up that high. I think things that normally would not have affected people as much affected them even more so because, people were struggling and tensions were high. And people were literally starving and having a terrible time just making a go of it. The Great Depression actually lasted all the way up until the World War II. World War II essentially ended the Great Depression. What a horrible thing to have a war to end a depression, but it is what it is. So, it's sticky. I love this putty. It's so great. So we're going back, like I said, to 1929 into this small community of Germantown, North Carolina. And in Germantown, North Carolina, lived a man named Charles Davis, or Charlie Lawson, and his family. In 1911, Charlie had married his wife Fanny, and they went on to have 8 children. They had 8 children. That was Arthur and Marie, William, Carrie, Maybelle, James, Redmond, and Mary Lou. In 1918, he had followed his brothers and moved to the small farming community of Germantown, North Carolina. Oh, I knew I was missing one up there. And he was working as a tobacco sharecropper. A sharecropper or a tenant farmer, where they don't own the land, but they farm it for somebody else. That's how that works. But within a couple of years, they worked hard. They worked hard, and within a couple of years, they had actually saved up enough money to buy their own place, to buy their own little farm. Charlie worked really hard as a tobacco sharecropper, and Fanny worked hard helping where she could, and keeping the home and the children in order. They had so many kids. They were very well respected in their community, and they were known to be hardworking people in a loving and very kind family. Unfortunately, in 1920, their third child, William, unfortunately passed away after an illness. Most likely, it was probably pneumonia that caused that. So, unfortunately, it was not unusual at that time for people to die from respiratory issues like that. Sad, but true. Then by 1927, they had worked and saved enough money that they bought their own farmland out on a place called Brook Cove Road in that same area. His brothers also had land close by, so they were all neighbors, um, farming tobacco. So, like I said, they were, going about their life and working hard and doing the things, and everybody thought of them as like hard workers and a great family. In the weeks before Christmas of 1929, Charlie took his family, who at the time his wife Fanny was 37, his oldest son Arthur was 19, Marie, his oldest daughter, was 17, Carrie was 12, Maybelle was 7, James was 4, Raymond 2, and they had a little 4-month-old baby named Mary Lou. And he took them all into town and bought everybody fancy new clothes and like their Sunday best clothes. And he had arranged for a family photograph to be taken. And I mean, I guess this doesn't seem like a big deal now, when everybody's running around with their cell phones taking picture of the sandwich they ate for lunch. But it was a big deal at that time. I mean, this is, the late 1920s, and to sit for a family portrait was expensive. And he had, like I said, shelled out all the money for new clothes. And so it was a big deal. I actually did see that photo. It's online, it's easy to find. And it's mom, dad, and all of their kids. And the little baby, she's so cute. The little 4-month-old baby, she's a pretty baby. Anyway, so it was a lovely photograph that they had taken. So fast forward, I mean, I can only imagine. Fast forward now, it is Christmas Day. And, you can only imagine what it must have been like in a house full of kids on Christmas Day. Even though it was, hard times and people were struggling, I'm sure they did everything they could to at least give their kids a little bit of something fun for Christmas. And, kids are always going to be excited for Christmas no matter what. So it must have been a good time that morning. Unfortunately, it did not stay that way. Arthur, who was, like I said, 19 at the time, he did go up to his dad. He was hoping that they were going to be able to go rabbit hunting that afternoon, because apparently that was kind of like a thing in that area to do. On Christmas was in the afternoons you'd go rabbit hunting. But he was checking for shotgun shells, and he couldn't find shotgun shells, so he came to his dad and told him, hey, do we have any shotgun shells? And Dad's like, no, we don't. And he sent him into town to go buy some. So Arthur takes off on foot to go into town to go buy shotgun shells. But of course, that was not true. They did have shotgun shells. He just told him not. And he sent him away from the house. And that's kind of an interesting thing, because he knew what he was going to do. Okay, there's no way he didn't know what he was going to do. And he deliberately sent his son away from the house. So effectively sparing him. So not too long after Arthur takes off on his errand to go buy shotgun shells, Charlie takes his shotgun and he goes over by the tobacco barn, and he's hanging out at the tobacco barn just waiting for his daughters to go walking by, because his daughter Carrie and Maybelle had planned to go walking over to their aunt and uncle's farm, which was close by, for Christmas, to say Merry Christmas and, go play with their kids and do those things. So he was waiting for them to walk by. And as the two little girls walked past the tobacco barn, he shot them just where they were walking, shot them right there. And to make sure that they were dead, he bludgeoned them also with the shotgun. And I know it's horrible and it's tragic, but that is what he did. Then he took those two little girls and he picked them up and he took them into the tobacco barn and laid them out on the ground. And he put them with their arms folded across their chest and put like a little rock thing under their heads like a pillow. Odd, right? Odd, absolutely. So that's what he did. So as he heads back to the house, his wife, Fanny, was sitting out on the porch. And she had heard, I'm sure, some gunshots. But, like I said, it was the thing to go rabbit hunting on that day. And she probably didn't think anything about it. She probably just thought, people were hunting, as they were apt to do on Christmas. And she got up to go greet her husband as he was walking up to her, and he shot her right there on the porch where she stood and killed her. It's thought that his oldest daughter, Marie, heard the gunshot because it was right there on the porch, heard the gunshot, and she ran immediately to go get her other brothers, James and Redmond, and to try to hide them all. Unfortunately, she was unable to do so. And Charlie walked into the living room and came straight after Marie and killed her in the living room. Then he went hunting for his other two sons, and he found them in the house hiding. And he shot them both and killed them. As with the girls in the barn, he laid them all out, arms crossed, with pillows under their heads. And then finally, he went looking for his 4-month-old baby, and he bludgeoned her to death and laid her with her mother. Yeah, there's just no words. There's just no words for that. But that's what he did. And actually, nobody even really came right away. Again, like I said, I think, you hear the gunshots, and people are hunting all around that area, and nobody really thought anything about it. And nobody found them until they came over to the house to see them for Christmas. And it was his family who came and found them there. It's really bizarre to me that after he did all of that to his family and he murdered them the way he did, that he took the time to lay them all out and try to make them look comfortable and respect their bodies afterward. I mean, really, what's up with that? What is up with that? What kind of level of crazy do you have to be? It's like, I hate you enough that I want to murder you, but I want you to be respected and comfortable. Yeah, I don't get it. So Claude Lawson, who was like one of their nephews, actually was one of the first people on the scene to come find them. I did see an interview from Claude Lawson that was done, I think, like in around 1991. And I mean, he was obviously really young at the time, and but he said that he just remembered it being like a horrible or horrific sight, which I can't even imagine. And then, of course, at that point, their son Arthur had managed to get back home too to find all of this. So they're going through, they're finding all the bodies, and they don't find Charlie. And I guess they were getting ready to go, look for him, find out where he was. Because at this point, you don't know, is he like a victim, or is he um, the one who did this? What's going on, because we don't know where he is. And as they're preparing to go looking for him, they hear a gunshot in like this heavily wooded area that was close to the house. Um, they follow the sound, and they do end up finding Charlie, and he was by a tree, um, and he was dead from a shotgun blast to the chest. They say that there was like you could see a path where he had just been walking in the snow, pacing and around and around and around the tree, before he finally decided to just go ahead and be done with it with himself too. So obviously at that point they realized that he was the one that had done this. They did find him with 2 notes on his person, but they were incomplete. They were incomplete notes. One of them said, "Nobody to blame but," and that's it. And the other one said, "Troubles can cause," and then nothing else. That's all he had written. So that just left people to try to kind of figure out and guess, um, what is his motive? What is his motive for what he did? I mean, things were hard and things were tough, but really, kill your whole family because you're having financial issues, There had been some consideration. Apparently, he had injured himself like quite significantly in a farming accident, uh, like a head injury, like a few months before this had happened. And there was some consideration and talk where maybe he had had some sort of like a brain injury that caused, some kind of an altered mental state, that would have caused, oh, don't even get up here, Kat, that would have caused, some of this to happen. There were also thoughts about his own, mental health. They had seemed like a happy and loving family. Um, but, what was he hiding? What was he hiding? I mean, was he hiding like um, mental issues? Was he having struggles with that? And nobody knew. That's one of the things that you'll never know for sure. So you just kind of left to wonder why, what happened. I know that they did after his autopsy. They actually did study his brain at Johns Hopkins, and because they were concerned about if there was any kind of like traumatic brain injury or anything that could have caused any of these things, and they found nothing. So they think that no, that's probably not an issue. But it was, something to think about. Um, a more likely but darker reason that they think might have caused him to do what he did came to light like years later. It didn't come out right away. Um, there was a book that was written. It was published in 1990, years after all of this happened. And it was called, the name of the book is White Christmas, Bloody Christmas. And there were claims around that time that had come forward of Charlie abusing his oldest daughter in that kind of way. You know what I'm trying to say without saying it. Um, that started, it was like an anonymous source who heard a rumor during a tour of the Lawson home shortly after the murders had happened. A day before the book was supposed to be published, the author got a phone call from Stella Lawson, who's a relative who had already been interviewed for the book. And she said that she had overheard Fanny's sister-in-laws and aunts, um, including Stella's mother, who was Jetty Lawson, discussing how Fanny had confided in them that she had been concerned about an incestuous relationship between her oldest daughter and her husband. So, she had suspicions, before the murders had occurred. Um, More support for this theory actually came out in another book called The Meaning of Our Tears, which was published by the same author actually in 2006. And at that time, a close friend of Marie Lawson's named Ella May came forward and said that a few weeks before Christmas in 1929, Marie had confided in her that she was actually pregnant by her father at that time. So there seems to be, we there's no way to know for sure, but it seems pretty solid that that's what happened. So it stands to kind of, then you start to wonder, okay, is that why he did it? Because he knew, and he knew that that was about to come out. He knew that that story was going to come out, and he didn't want that story to come out. So he chose to kill his whole family instead of having people realize that he's like a creep who abused his daughter. And then what's up with, he sent his oldest son away from the house. Again, he knew what he was going to do. He knew what he was going to, get rid of his whole family, but he sent his son away. And so you have to wonder what his reasoning for that was. Some people have thought, well, he paid all that money to have those photographs done, and he's wanting to preserve his family somehow, even though he knows he's going to murder them. So he has photos taken, and then he leaves his oldest son alive to carry on the family name. Yeah, I think that's crap. I don't really think that's why he did it. I think he did it because he knows that if you go online and look for the photo, his son, 19 years old, he was a big old strapping guy. He was actually bigger than his dad. So Charlie had to think, something goes wrong, and if I don't get him first, he can stop me. He can stop me, and he's big enough to fight me off. So personally, that's why I think he sent him on his way, because he didn't want to have to deal with you know, a full-grown man being there and having to try to fight with him. So honestly, that's why I think he sent him away. But I mean, how awful, right? How awful to leave him behind because, I mean, it'd be awful to murder him. Nobody wants him to die, but can you imagine? Can you imagine that happening to your entire family and you're the only one who's left? Yeah, it's horrible. I can't even imagine it. Um, and like it really affected the entire community. So like the whole community really struggled with the shock of everything. Like I said, these had been considered like a loving and well-respected family in the community, and it just completely just tore everybody up. They say that thousands of people, like literally thousands of people, attended the funeral. um yeah, it's insane. um and it's kind of, yeah, this is kind of weird too. A little like disturbing side note is, it became, people were so fascinated by the whole crime that they were just like flocking to the cemetery and to the house, and they just, how it is, like you're driving down the street and they have a car wreck, and it's terrible, but you can't help it and you want to watch, and you know that's just human nature, I guess. And people were just like flocking to the murder site to see it all. um, and one of his brothers, his brother Marion, actually turned the house into a tourist attraction. Could you die? Really? Turned the house into a tourist attraction. Like, yeah, nothing says I love you, brother, like profiting off of your insane murderous rampage and the whole death of your entire family. But he did, and it was actually a popular tourist attraction for a while. And people would go in and tour the house, which was still an uncleaned crime scene. So all the goriness of it. I mean, obviously there were no bodies in there, but everything else. Um, as a matter of fact, they even had, um, Fanny had been, getting their Christmas meal for later prepared, and she had just baked a cake for their Christmas dessert, and the cake was still there in the house. And when he turned it into a tourist attraction, they left the cake in the kitchen that she had just finished baking for her family. And so many people, this is so gross, so many people actually had walked past it and they were like picking the raisins off of it to take them home for souvenirs. I'm like, really? Really, people? This isn't Disney World. It's like, come on, you know? But yeah. So they ended up having to cover the cake with like one of those glass, like, cake pans to keep people from picking the raisins off of it. It's like, ugh. God, people are so gross, I swear. Um, there have also been several like songs and things that were made all about the murders. Um, one of them was, it was like they call them like murder ballad. It was called like the murder of the Lawson family. You can actually find it, if you search for it. It was recorded by the Carolina Buddies for Columbia Records in 1930, and it was covered again by the Stanley Brothers in 1956. So that's just another thing that's kind of like perpetuated and kept this story kind of alive. Um, but yeah, it really, like I said, it affected the entire community for literally for generations. Um, oh, and another thing that's just wrong as hell. Oh, sorry, make me cuss on my own channel. But the other thing that was like completely wrong was the family was buried in a large family graveyard plot that was donated by a local family there. And there's a huge, I saw a picture of it, a huge like tombstone with all their names, and they're all buried together. Yes, they are all buried together, even Charlie. Charlie is buried there with his family. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe they buried him there with his family. Because you know what, dude, I don't know, you believe what you believe and what have you, but I'm telling you, if any place is begging to be haunted, that's it. Because, yeah, I would not be resting in peace with the murdering father of all of my children laying right there in the middle of us. But, yep, there he is. And even sadly, the Arthur, the only surviving member of the family, they said that for years he would not even discuss the whole incident. I can't say I blame him. I wouldn't discuss it either. I would not even want to talk about it. So I don't blame. Can you imagine like the survivor's guilt that he must have had? It's like awful. But yeah, they said that he wouldn't even talk about it, even really to his own family. He didn't want to talk about it. But sadly, he died in a car accident in 1945, and he was only 35 years old. And he left behind a wife and I think three children. I think three. Oh, I could be wrong. No, I think it's four actually. Now that I remember, I think it's four. Um, so yeah, there is just no happy ending to that at all. But I think it's important. It's important to tell their story, and it's important not to forget what they went through. And it's also important to think about, you'd never know when somebody is struggling. Okay, because even if, he was being inappropriate with his daughter, okay, and she was pregnant, okay, yeah, that's all kinds of wrong. Agreed. It is all kinds of wrong. But it's no reason to murder your entire family. So there's got to be something not right in your head that allows you to think that it is okay to, just get rid of your entire family. Just so one bad secret doesn't come out in public and embarrass you. So, it's it's worth having conversations like that just so, it can highlight to people, what do you have to watch for? What do you have to do to, make sure people are okay? Because I'm not making excuses for the man, but he was obviously not okay. And unfortunately, his entire family had to pay the price for it. So yeah, actually, there's Netflix did a series called 28 Days Haunted. Um, and it's not like specifically about the Lawson family. I found it that way because, I was looking for stuff and looking for information. So it wasn't specifically about, what happened to them, but it was this kind of little series. I think there's like 7 episodes maybe. And it was all about like sending groups of like paranormal investigators to certain sites for like a certain amount of time to see if, staying there a prolonged period of time, if they'd be able to, um, do like really good psychic investigations and figure out kind of what's going on. And one of the groups that they sent was to the building that um, used to be a funeral home. And it was where all of their bodies had been taken to be embalmed. And so there, they did talk a little bit about the, um, the crime itself as they were talking about their, investigation. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. I kind of got sucked into it and ended up watching the whole thing. Um, but yeah. So that is the story of the Lawson family murders. As tragic as it is. So I think we are going to just go ahead and wrap this up then for today. And I may work on this a little bit more before I put it away. But yeah, that's some kind of story. So I am hoping to occasionally do some true crime and also maybe some like little paranormal stories. Anything like that. If anybody has any suggestions or anything that you think um, would make that better, or do you just think the whole idea sucks as a rule? I will try to, if I'm going to do that, um, I will always try to make a disclaimer at the beginning and say, hey, this is going to be a paranormal thing, this is going to be a true crime thing, or this is going to be whatever kind of stories that people suggest. I'm happy to include those, and that way people can decide if they want to listen to it or not. Um, so yeah, so kind of let me know in the comments what you think, and I guess I will put this away soon. And I want to thank you guys for spending a little bit of time with me today while I mucked around in my canvas here and told you all the story. And thank you for spending a little time with me, because I know that your time is precious to you and it's precious to me too. So thank you for spending it with me. And I will see you guys soon. I do have a couple of things to unbox coming up pretty soon. I'm actually waiting for a couple of things from Diamond Art Club, and usually I get things from them so quick, and I'm still waiting. It still says my order has been placed and processing, but I'm assuming it's just because it's the holidays, and that's fine. And I have one here that I'm just kind of have sitting here until I have something else to unbox with it. So I've got that coming up, and I've got like my Josephine wall coming up, and we'll still keep working on this beautiful girl because she's going to be amazing. I cannot wait till I can get up in here. This is going to be gorgeous when I get up in here. I'm excited about that. So yeah, I think I'll just work on here some more. So maybe next time we'll be able to move up into here. Okay, well, that being said, thank you all, and you have a great rest of your day, and be blessed, and enjoy your upcoming new year. And thank you.